We look at human history within the constraints of race. If we could go back in time, only 10,000 years, any human species you would come across would not look like you. The Cheddar Man is an ancient skeleton that was found recently and it's believed to be over 10,000 years old. Scientists have worked out that through state-of-the-art technology, DNA testing, that he had black hair, black skin, and blue eyes. In all of human history, we've come in all shapes and sizes. It's only now that we organise ourselves into groups and call ourselves black or white. Even ancient Romans and Greeks would have laughed if you called them white people. They did not consider themselves to be white. They considered them to be themselves to be from where they live. They did not include skin colour. Like it or not, the transatlantic slave is the reason why you consider yourself black. You Negro. Pause this video right now. Go and read In Search of Black History by
Bonnie Greer. And when you read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library.
You know, I pulled the punches. I should have said, you nigger! That's what I should. But I thought maybe it was a bit strong.
Probably a
Straight
bit strong.
into the video.
Are they allowed to? Are they allowed? Yeah, on their head top. Are they allowed?
Cancel me.
Are they allowed to? Yeah, I was about to say. Are they allowed to? Are white people allowed to tell us what we can and can't say?
No, of course not. Especially.
Surely not.
No one can tell me what I can and can't say. I'll say all the slurs right now.
You list them off alphabetical order. Do you think we should ever get the bleep on this?
My father would kill us.
Oh, you think so?
What,
he thinks it's cheesy?
No,
you think it's cheesy?
He is lazy and he doesn't want to do any more work than he has to.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, so...
wait, you got...
I've actually got 4. I thought I had 5. I have 4.
6, so let me go again.
Yeah, good.
The Nubian queen who fought off the defeated... Sorry, that's what Mrs. likes. The Nubian queen who fought off and defeated the Romans.
Yeah, that's insane.
Did you know about this, Joseph?
No.
I'm fuming. Why do we not know about this? From the years 25 to 21 BC, I don't even know how to say that. What is that? Amanirenas.
Yeah, Amanirenas.
Amanirenas, a queen of the Kandake of the kingdom of Kush, managed to do what male leaders in her time could not: push back a Roman invasion. Under Queen what is it?
Amanirenas.
Under Queen Amanirenas' command, some 30,000 soldiers of the ancient kingdom of Kush, located in modern-day Sudan, took to arms and fought back Roman invaders who had advanced from Egypt. The Romans had encroached on the fertile lands of the region below Egypt known as Nubia and enforced a high taxation on the people of Meru, the capital of Kush. Amanirenas strategically rallied her army and her forces managed to capture the Roman-occupied cities of Aswan. The Kush forces plundered the cities and enslaved the Romans. The Roman army ultimately dominated, but they ended up granting concessions to Meru, the kingdom that weakened Rome's political and economic standing. This is proper history. But yeah, it's so nice to hear about something different for Black History Month other than slavery.
Yeah, it's always the same song. But you know what they say? You write Thriller, you don't just sing it once. So that is pretty much why,
Wait, what?
You know, you write Thriller,
yeah.
You know, or you write a top song, you don't sing it once. You know, you write that Christmas song by Mariah Carey.
So slavery is that good?
Slavery is that one song. But, and it's what people attribute with Black history. You talk about Black history, and that's what people think, slavery straight away. Because, you know, we like to hyper-focus. Of course it's a big part, it's a massive part, but we like to hyper-focus on the part that makes us the victims. We like to hyper-focus on when are we getting our reparations? When does that money come in? So, you know, I think humans have this thing that I like to call the suffering Olympics, you know, where we like to yeah, but we are the most discriminated against. No, we are the most discriminated against, you know. So it's, Europeans from 10,000 years ago had blue eyes and black skin. In the Natural History Museum, there's an exhibit called The Cheddar Man. This is the oldest complete skeleton that exists in Britain, excavated in 1903 in Cheddar Gorge in Somerset, England, but via carbon dating found to be 10,000 years old. By analysing his nuclear DNA, scientists can tell that Cheddar Man has a most likely phenotype of bluish-greenish eyes and dark skin, and that was most likely not uncommon for Northern Europeans at that time. So one thing that...
Do you know what's even more interesting than what you just said, which is related to, not discounting anything, did you know they found a direct descendant of him?
That's insane.
Did you know
I didn't even read that
you
in the book.
Know that?
I didn't read that in the book.
No, I knew about the Cheddar Man before, and I don't know if it's in the book. They found a direct living descendant of Cheddar Man who lived only a couple miles away from Cheddar Man was found, and they got a picture, and they got a DNA, and they look the same. They look the same.
So he's black with blue eyes as well?
No. Except for that, it just looks like a white man. When I say they got the same bone structure and everything.
Crazy.
Only 2 miles away. It was Somerset, I think.
Yeah, Cheddar Gorge in Somerset.
Oh, 10,000. Imagine seeing your ancestors.
10,000 years, and you moved 10 miles. That's 1 mile every 1,000 years. You moved.
That was crazy. When I read that, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, that is insane.
Look at all the information we don't know.
Do you remember what you were saying though? How much would you pay to know what you don't know? Unlimited money.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's so much things we just don't know that we will never know.
Yeah, unknown unknowns.
This again, yeah? Did you know that black people were already in London before slavery? Yes, it's true. In a burial site that was used for the people who fell victim to the Black Death in London, found that an astonishing 30% of the bones found in the site were of people of black descent. Even hundreds of years later, a black man called Jacques Francis, who was an African salvage diver who led the expedition to salvage King Henry VIII's treasure from a sunken ship called the Mary Rose. Most Europeans couldn't even swim back then, much less dive to the depths necessary. So King Henry VIII had to source an international talent to help him retrieve the guns at the bottom of the sea. On July the 19th, 1545, Henry VIII's warship, the Mary Rose, was lost within minutes of leaving the dock. Of the 400 to 500 seamen aboard, most lost their lives.
Jesus Christ.
The funniest thing is, the more we read into history is the more we read into white people's incompetence, their savagery, and their ineptitude. Imagine being a sailor and not being able to swim.
Yeah, bro, that's the one thing you actually have to know how to do, other than sail, obviously.
But yeah, at this time in England, there was black people coming from Africa, Europe, and the Spanish Caribbean on merchant vessels, or with pirates, privateers, or aristocrats. They were free people in England. There was no slaving laws in Tudor England. Class, religion, and talent were the most important distinctions rather than colour. Black Tudors in England were respected members of society. They earned wages, testified in court, and climbed the social hierarchy. There are records of marriages, baptisms, burials of black women and women. So yes, there's evidence of over 200 black Africans living in Tudor England. Over 200. So we don't know how many more black people were in England. Think about it. Quick calculation, right? 200 black people. And you know them have about 10 baby mother each. So you can times that. You can times that, man. You can times that about 10 straight away.
Where did it all go wrong, right? We had the streets. We lost it all. Humans have only looked like humans for 3% of human history. According to historian Professor Olivet Otele, the first humans were discovered in Africa more than 300,000 years ago. A mere 10,000 years ago, however, humans looked completely different, which we could say with good confidence thanks to things like the Cheddar Man. Today, Northern Europeans look more like Haaland, tall, big and blonde, but all the same, the Cheddar Man is their ancestor. So they said, what did they say? 3% of human history, humans have only looked like us, you know, legs, arm, head, neck.
And then also the features, because if you look at the Cheddar Man, it's like they look like
sunken features.
We call them Neanderthals.
Neanderthals, yeah. So like the cheekbones are like higher, or whatever. The cheeks are like proper sunken.
You look at that, and I mean, it's a man, but you can see that's not attractive to us.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
Our brain's rejecting certain things about their appearance because it's like that's not formula.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's not what I know.
But maybe even back then, this is why we've got to the place where our faces are more symmetrical, because we've sexually selected that. So that's what has come about. So we're continuously evolving.
Everything's deliberate, you know.
So
Everything is
what
actually
you're saying
deliberate.
is Haaland is a good-looking man.
Do you know what the funniest thing is? Everyone says Haaland's clapped. Like, everybody says he's clapped.
I don't know why I made that face.
He's got the... You were like, no, he's not.
No, but I mean, you can
Everyone
tell
says
what
he's
a man,
clapped.
you can. I mean, he looks very childish.
He does
the one
look...
with the...
Yeah, but the thing is, he's got very, very good genes, obviously.
He's got the strong jaw,
He's got good genes. So he's got the strong jaw. Obviously, he's big, he's tall. He weighs 13.5 stone. He's 6'3", I think it is.
13.5 stone. He's got way more than that.
Well, last time I checked, it was 13.5 stone. I was writing an article about him, so I checked his.
That means he's slender.
He's quick. He's rapid.
Yeah, he's got to be slender because if he's 6 foot, he's 13 stone. I used to weigh 13 stone. I'm 5'5".
Damn.
But it's all muscle.
No, I'm dead. I was about to say it's burgers. Just remember that someone said Buddy needs a tighter shirt, or they say one needs a size up. I'm losing weight, cunt. Yeah, go on.
Didn't I just go?
No, I just went with the Haaland thing. I got 2 more anyways. Have you got 2 more? You should have 2 more. Yeah, that didn't sound convincing. I'm not convinced.
I got 3.
Okay.
Which checks out, actually. Because you've gone.
Well, I can't count anyway, so...
The African-born slave who discovered a plant that has successfully treated millions of people worldwide. The plant was named after him. Kwasi Amara. Graham Kwasi is on record to be one of the few black African innovators who got credit for their work. The list of those who didn't receive their mentions for their achievements is endless. The plant was named after a black man. He was a Sermonese healer, a botanist, a slave, and later a freed man of the 18th century. Although the time and location of Kwasi's discoveries aren't precise, researchers think he probably discovered the properties of Kwasi Amara before 1730. Kwassia it continues to be used in industrially produced medicines against intestinal parasites today. In contemporary accounts, he was described as one of the most extraordinary black men in Suriname, and perhaps the world. He died in 1780 in Paramaribo. He was also a spy for the Dutch and even helped catch indigenous Africans. He even owned slaves himself.
Jesus.
So real bad man.
Yo, top blood clot general.
But imagine being black and owning slaves.
That'd be me. I'd have the monocle.
It doesn't even make sense. Are you thinking that your slaves are beneath you?
Do you know what I mean?
Intelligence-wise, and that they deserve to be enslaved?
The same Negro, you know.
Is what it is.
That's
what
the economy.
What am I going to do? Not have slaves?
It's the economy. Yeah, it's the economy. It's capitalism.
Fair enough.
Weird, they must separate because like, I'm rich, you're broke. Cause that's the only thing that they could probably be looking at.
So I mean, it's interesting to know what people who had slaves actually thought.
Yeah, because they can't all have been like dickheads who beat their slaves.
No,
for fun.
not just that. They might have beaten them, but I want to know what the people thought. Did they actually think that black people were less than, or was it just like, well, the law says I can have slaves, so I'm going to have slaves?
100%.
Because they would have sex with the women. So
yeah, of course.
They didn't.
Hand the men. Hand the men.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. They obviously didn't think.
They were dirty,
disgusting animals, and da. So they didn't all think that.
Yeah, 100%.
So it would have been nice to know. Well,
I think it would have been interesting to know what did the Romans think of their slaves, because Romans had slaves based upon class and creed.
Yeah.
They didn't really have it based upon color.
That's completely different. Like they wouldn't, think the same. Like they know that slaves are people, whereas
right. But how did they like differentiate me from you? If you're a slave and you're Roman, I'm Roman, I'm free. Like
work
what?
For me, that's it. Come here, boy.
So that's what I was doing.
Footrest, boy.
Scientists can tell where the owner of a skeleton lived by their teeth. Stable isotopes are the traces of atoms left in people's teeth, traces of the food that they ate, the water they drank, and even the air that they breathed. Scientists can use this to get a more specific idea about where people lived from thousands of years ago, may have lived when examining their remains. That's crazy, which is why they always, is that the way they always say their dental records, when they dig up remains or something? Because I never actually knew.
Well, no, so I know a little bit about this. So depending on how many years ago it was, toothbrush wasn't invented.
Yeah, of course.
So, when they dig up these remains, they can find remnants of, particles. I mean, they could do it now with us, but we clean our teeth.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as accurate.
Yeah, so, but when they use dental records nowadays, they can identify you by your dental record. So let's say you were in a car crash and the car was on fire and whatnot, and all they had is, a skull. They could tell who you were. Quickly, they might be able to break the bone open and get DNA, but that would take long. They could just check your dental records and see who you are. Which is interesting because, 6 billion people on the planet and we all have fingerprints that can identify us specifically.
Down to the
and then we've got
individual.
Dental,
down to the individual. But that's crazy. I think about stable isotopes. That's incredibly interesting, which is why it stuck out to me and I wrote it down.
I don't know anything about that.
Yes. Man said, I know nothing about nothing.
We think of slavery as some southern thing in America. Some Texan plantations and ranches, but that was the exception, not the rule. Slaves were all over the USA. The slave trade was crucial to New York, Boston, and Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. In New York, specifically, Wall Street was a massive slave market. Not only people would buy and sell slaves, but they would rent out their slaves. The slaves worked building the city, and it was slaves that built the wall that gave Wall Street its name. That's why it's called Wall Street.
Never actually knew I was
Little known fact for you there. See what we do? We teach you things so you can go and tell your friends so that they think you are smart. Surely that's worth a sub.
Right? At least one.
Yeah. But yeah, anytime people think of slavery in America, I mean, I want to speak for myself. I think about the Texan plantations and the ranches and this, that, and the other. Yeah. But they said that was the exception. There weren't very many of those.
Damn.
Maybe a couple of big ones. Candyland.
Yeah.
but most of the slaves were in the cities, building the cities from nothing.
Which would make sense, to be honest.
Yeah, because
who was building for cities?
Where did it come from? Remember, America, the USA just come out of nowhere, so it had to be built by somebody. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that is interesting.
Oh yeah, you're done, innit?
No, I got one more.
So have I. I don't know how that happened.
How does this always happen? A black man defied a Roman emperor. Saint Maurice was the leader of a Roman legion in the 3rd century. Maurice, who was from Thebes in Egypt, was called to fight for the Emperor Maximian. When Maurice's legion was ordered to slaughter Christians, they refused as they themselves were Christians. Christianity did exist in the Roman Empire, but it wasn't until 100 years after Maurice died that it would become Rome's official religion. As punishment for their defiance, Emperor Maximian ordered decimation, a ritual where men would draw lots and 10% of them would be executed at random. Yeah. So there are a few examples of Roman military commanders resorting to decimation throughout history, notably Crassus when his men ignored their orders and fled from Spartacus. But what's interesting is how language gets corrupted. Because this is something I always notice. Decimation means to remove 10%. Yeah. Literally, Yeah. But we use decimation as if it means to destroy utterly and entirely. Yeah. See, I've always wondered, how did it come to mean that?
Because people, it's like Chinese whispers. You say something, we decimated them. Yeah. To me, that sounds like you annihilated them.
Totally
Who knows what annihilate means anyway?
My God, who knows?
But this is Chinese whispers of language. So yeah, when I think I knew about the decimation. I don't know if I knew about it before this book, or maybe I did or didn't. I don't know, but I knew about that. And when people say decimate, I go.
You shake your head, innit? You uncultured swine.
It's not a common word, but normally it's a word that is said
people
passionately.
People use it like to mean emphatically destroy. Like they use it for emphasis, right? I think it's incredibly interesting how language can get corrupted. I was talking to somebody at work about this. Somebody was asking me like what a specific coffee was, a macchiato, and like you go to 99% of coffee shops, they'll probably order a macchiato. They'll probably give you the wrong thing, right? So what coffee shops do is they take artistic license with things, and then more coffee shops do it, and more will do it, and then nobody will actually know what the actual thing was. So what Italians will do, they'll go into a coffee shop and they'll be like, "Can I have a coffee?" Because in Italy, coffee means espresso. It doesn't mean coffee and milk. It doesn't mean coffee and water. It means coffee from the machine, right? But because coffee shops are like, coffee is now a latte. A coffee is now, a half shot decaf oat vanilla mocha or whatever. Just things get corrupted. So now macchiato is whatever you want it to be, man. Martini is whatever you want it to be. Doesn't matter. Decimate just means whatever you want it to mean.
You gotta ask them to have it with water or something like that.
You gotta specify what you want in this day and age. You can't even say coffee anymore. Like somebody comes up to me and orders coffee, like you're now the dickhead of the day.
What do you mean?
You're the dickhead of the day. You're the dickhead of the day because like we don't know what you. But I've stopped doing that. I press Americano now and I say pay. And now they're like, but wait, what did you give me? I'm like, finally, the customers arrived. Welcome to the convo.
Yeah. New York, the New York Slave Revolt of 1712. On the night of April the 6th, 1712, a group of slaves set fire to an outhouse. When the white people came to their homes, they were confronted by a band of 50 slaves standing in front of the burning house, armed with guns, axes, and knives. the slaves fired into the crowd of whites, causing panic. New York's governor, Robert Hunter, sent the militia to deal with the rioters. It's funny that they're called rioters.
Do you know what I mean?
These black people trying to get their freedom. Upon seeing the armed soldiers, the rioting slaves ran towards a wooded swamp. The soldiers, along with armed bystanders, swept the city for the rioters, capturing many of them. 9 whites were killed in the riot and 6 were wounded. Rather than await trial and certain incarceration or worse, 6 slaves committed bluicide. Of the approximately 40 slaves brought to trial, 18 were acquitted and a few others were pardoned. The rest were brutally executed. 4 were burned alive. 1 was crushed by a wheel. 1 was kept in chains until he starved to death. A pregnant woman was kept alive until she gave birth and then was executed, and the others were hanged. In response to the slave rebellion, strict codes were enacted, which included, but were not limited to, harsher punishments as slaveholders saw fit, decreased contact amongst slaves, and the prohibition of slave-owned firearms. So let me ask you a question, and listeners. Why do you think they kept the pregnant woman alive until she gave birth? Do you think they did that out of the goodness of their heart? Let me answer. The baby was somebody's property.
Of course.
That's why. And it's also interesting the terminology that they use. They said rioters, not freedom fighters. And they said soldiers, as if they're doing the right thing by returning the enslaved black people to their owners. So yeah, it's interesting the way history's written, you know. Well, history's written by
the victors, exactly. I was waiting.
You waited for me to shut up just so you
know what I mean?
slip that in. You didn't say no.
Do you know what I mean?
But yes, I mean, look, we had to touch on some slavery because, yeah, that's what we do, you know. But there was some black history in there.
Yeah, no, there was.
Even though it's no longer Black History Month.
Yeah, not really.
But it is what it is.
I thought it was a good interactive book. You know, you'd have like the little bits of music in the beginning of the chapters. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
Okay, well, you're going to have to read it again.
Ago. Do you know how much books we've
That's
read
very
since
true.
then?
It has been a while.
So many.
Yeah, it has been a while. I was reading some of my notes. I was like, I don't even really remember this, but
that's the
kind
beauty
of
of having
remember
notes.
100%.
As I said, one day we're going to have to go through all our notes.
I keep telling myself to put every single document into the same folder, just so I can look at like the list of man hours.
Mine's naked. Look, I just got. I mean, it's just here. Look, I've got
cock and balls out.
Here. Yeah, I just, you know, it's.
Yeah, same.
But there's probably about 60, 70.
Yeah, so you'll just see like, and then you'll just see.
I've got it's probably about 60 books here. I'm not doing it now.
Yeah, might do it all.
You know what? Just close your eyes, press delete.
Oh, Can you
God. Imagine?
Nah. That's a crime. That's a crime.
The non-fiction.
No, the non-fiction you delete last if you delete it at all.
You could write a book about, like, we could write an all-encompassing book about, not all the things, but some of the things we've learned, and you give that book to someone and immediately make them smart.
We could also receive them. We could also receive. We could also receive an all-encompassing lawsuit where we get sued for plagiarizing
not really.
Thousands
it's
of
it's facts. It's information.
Is it not true? Say that in court.
It's not. How can you?
Did I lie?
You just like saying, writing down 2 + 2 is 4 in your book and saying you're getting a lawsuit.
No, but we don't know who proved that. So who's gonna sue you?
Proved what?
That 2 + 2 is 4. Who's gonna sue you?
Well, yeah.
But if the authors, we got their names there.
Nah, I don't buy it. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And I guess you can end with quote of the day. Nothing?
Nah, I forgot to get one.
Yeah, unprofessional. That's what it is.
So your quote would be
No, you do quote of the day. Huh? If you can't, then it's fine. We'll leave it. Till next time.